Java has just dropped its latest release, which is Java 24. Whenever I teach, I always say that change is the only constant in the field of IT. Now, one member in this entire field of tech who I feel has taken these words very strongly is none other than the Java. When the entire world is still working in Java 8, Java 11, Java 14, maybe sometime Java 21, Java has already launched Java 24. And with this release, it is trying to make the life of developers super easy. All this time in the past, we have been talking around Java is verbose, Java is complex, Java is tough to learn. This time, Java is trying to bring the changes to compete with the easier programming languages, scripting languages like JavaScript and Python. So we'll try to see how Java 24 has brought that amazing set of the features. Stay till the last so that you are aware and you are confident the new features which J24 has brought to the table. So quickly, let's get started and understand in the hands-on manner. Perfect, guys. So the first feature which got me the most of the biggest attention in all the features which Java 24 brings to the table is the feature which allows me to run Java program like a scripting language. And secondly, all this time when I was growing up, when I was learning myself and when I was teaching students, you people, all this time you people have been telling that, hey, I'm a fan of Python or I'm a fan of Golang because Java is very verbose. I still remember when we write the first Hello World program and we have a very heavy syntax like this where we go and write public, static, void, main, string, args. It's very frightening. People feel that, boss, it's so complicated. Java has heard you and now they have tried to bring it much more simpler. They're saying that, boss, if you have to write a program, hello world, you don't need to have the static keyword a must. You don't have to go and use this heavy argument, the parameter to this main method. It will be as simple as public void main like any other programming language. And the most beautiful part is that previously, you had to first of all write a Java file. You have to first of all write the Java file. Then you compile and convert into the .class file. And then you used to go and execute it. Right? It used to be a two-step process. Java 24 says that, boss, we are allowing you to go and run it like a scripting language without compromising the performance. So now I can just simply go and write Java. And let's say if the name is Hello World, so I can just go and say that Hello World.java. It will go and execute it, and internally it will do the same thing. It will just compile it and then go and execute it. So this is one of the most amazing features. Now let's try to see if it works. Let's go and test it out. So let me go and open my Eclipse, right? But before I do go there, I have made sure that the Java 24 is already installed on my system. Right? And how do I do this? For doing that, I have been here on this Java download page. I'll go and attach the link of this page in the description so that you guys find it handy. You can see on the screen also right now. So what I have done is that this is the link. You can go to the official Oracle page and you see that the different, JDK 24, 23, it was just released a day back. So JDK 24 is already available, and based on what your operating system, it could be a Linux, it could be a Mac OS, it could be Windows, you can go and choose that to download the one. Since right now I'm recording this content on my MacBook, so I've chosen the Mac OS, and this I'm using this ARM64 DMG installer. Depending on which laptop you people are using to run this code, please go ahead and do the installation. If you want, you can just pause the video now, do the installation, come back and tell me in the comments that yes, Java 24 is now running on my computer. Please go and confirm me that. Now, since I've already done it, let me go and show you if it works. So if I go and open my terminal, let me go and say that clear, and I go and write here as Java -- version. I'm seeing Java 24. So like me, if you also would have successfully installed Java, when you go and type Java -- version, you will see this line Java 24. Right, these are the, since it has been very lately released, I have just installed right now before the session, before recording this content. There's a very high chance if you're doing it right now, when you're watching this video, you'll see the same, else you might have slight variation in it. Fair enough. So I have done this bit. And the second part that I have done is that I have went ahead and made changes into my Eclipse. I'm using Eclipse to write the code. It's free, cheap, easy to learn. If you're using any other ID, be it VS Code or it could be IntelliJ, it could be NetBeans, whatever that you want, you're a fan of, please go ahead and do it. But the only thing that you have to do is that you have to tell your ID that they have to use Java 24 for the compilation and for executing the code. What I did in the Eclipse, I'll just quickly show you. I went to the Eclipse, then I go to the settings. Here I go and type Java, and inside the Java, if I just go and open this pane, there's something called install GREs, and you can see here in this install GREs, which one is tick mark right now, right? I have added Java JDK 24.jdk, right? So this is already in place. I have done all the setup perfectly fine. So now let's try to see, and if in Java 24 Eclipse, will this code work? So what I do here, let me go inside this, let me call this class as hello students. And said hello students, I have this public void main. I go and write, let me go and minimize this, public void main, and then I just go and call it as sysout hello students. Perfect. This is what we have written. Now if I go and try to run this, let me go and save this out, run this, I don't get a run option here. It is saying that, boss, it doesn't have the public static void main. Why it's not working? Java 24 is this, I'm using right Java 24 in my Eclipse. Why I'm not able to run it? I am not able to run it because Java 24 said that, boss, one, this is experimental feature, and number two, you can only run this, and please mind this point, you can only achieve this if you're trying to run the code directly without compiling. So basically, if I have to go and run this, the first thing that I'll have to do is I'll have to go and run it more of like this from the terminal Java, and I go and provide the name of this file, which is hello student, hello student.java. That's number one. Secondly, it says that this file has to be a standalone file. It cannot be under the complex module, because this release further says that still if your project is huge, it comprises of multiple files, nested structures, still it makes sense to first of all go and compile the entire project and then run it. Use this only if it is a single file. So the whole intention of providing this feature is that if you go and read the documentation, it says that, boss, we wanted to make sure that the learning journey of someone who's starting in Java, that should not be intimidating. It's easy for the mentors like me to go and explain things so that the students on the day one is not intimidated by a complex long syntax like public static void main and then the whole constraints of compiling and then running it, right? This whole intention is to make Java more lovable, approachable, easy looking language. So from here it's not working out. Let's try to do the same thing from the command line. So what I'll do, I'll go and open my terminal, and let me go and create a file name called as hello students. So let me go and call it as hello students.java, right? I've opened this, and then let me go and copy this entire code that I have written. Let me go and copy this and open my terminal again and paste this up here, hello students. Now let me go and save this file and let's try to run this Java. Let me first of all confirm I have Java version 24. Yes, it is. Let me go and run this Java hello students dot Java. Perfect. Now when I go and run this, this is giving me an error, right? This is giving me an error. What happened? Java 24 said that, boss, you don't have to write public static void main, but then why it's still asking for? Now to get the answer, let me go to my Chrome. And my Chrome, if I go to this documentation release wala portion, now in this case it was JP 495, right? So I go and open back to my Chrome and I go and search for 495. Where is that? Where is that? It is here. Simple source file and instance main methods. Now when I go and look around, you see that this is not a well established feature. It's actually in preview. It is in the 4th preview. Typically in the previous releases itself, it would have been proposed and it's still in the preview. It is not a part of the actual program itself. So if I have to go and make use of it, I cannot go and run normally. So, but so far what we have seen is that just using the word called as Java, right? just using the word called as Java, if I go and open my terminal, I'm able to run this program, right? This is still huge. I don't have to, no need to compile. This is huge actually, boss, already. But I still am getting this error, right? And that is because it is still in the fourth preview. It's in preview mode. So anything is in a preview. For that, what should I go and make use of it? So for that, I have to use a flag called as a enable preview. So I go and write Java, and then I go and say minus minus, and I go and say that enable hyphen preview, and then I go and call it as hello students.java. And when I go and run this pause, bingo, I have been able to print hello students. I have been able to go and print the hello students. So this is the first feature which has taken a lot of my attention. I am a big fan already, but this has just blown my mind. Please put me into the comments, how did you like this feature? Share your views and I'll be more than happy to hear that. Now, once we have done that, let's try to move on. The next thing that we have, let me go and see, over the period of time, over the years, Java has been trying to simplify the issues with the conventional switch. What are the issues in the conventional switch? Every time I've been teaching students, I've been always myself justifying that is it worth teaching switch? There have been huge problems with the switch. One, switch was very verbose. You have to write a lot of repetitive lines. For example, here also break, here also break. And something which is beyond the logic. For example, let's say that if this case is satisfied, if you have not put break, it will go to all the other cases. So those have been the challenges with the switch. Java across the period of time in the different releases have been trying to fix it. So that just after Java 11 with Java 12 release, Java made some massive changes in the syntax of the switch. First, they solved the problem of having a redundant break in all the case clauses. And secondly, they introduced this arrow symbol. So now going ahead after Java 12, switch becomes much easier and simplified, a succinct, easy syntax. And now you don't have to write break all the time. In the case, if one of the case condition is satisfied, no other case condition will be executed. That's number one. Secondly, from Java 12, the switch can also act like an expression. So as you can see here, whatever is the outcome of the switch, that could be assigned to a variable. Amazing. Now Java 24 has taken this switch thing to the next big level now. And that too with the help of the pattern matching capability, right? So for example, as you can see here, let's say that I have a method called as check number, which takes a parameter of the type number, which is a parent to all the numeric data types available in the Java. Now depending on this number is of int type, or if it is a double type, or if it is a long type, it will pattern match and will actually go and hit accordingly case statement. Now this stupendously improve the whole power, the whole flexibility, and the whole ease of use which switch brings to the table. Now every time I'll be teaching the newer version of Java to my students, I'll not say that was switch you go and use only in the extreme cases. I'll say that switch is now getting better, and you can always contemplate that if you have to use if else, or you have to go and make use of switch, all thanks to Java 24. Now let's move to the next feature. The next feature is ahead of the time class loading and linking. See, no release in the Java I feel is complete if they don't contribute towards the optimization of the code. Across the time, we have seen that Java makers has always been motivated, has been working around making sure that performance is great. Now, one of the biggest challenges in Java ecosystem on running a bigger projects has been all the class loading and the linkages between the class, the dependencies between the class, they all are established so far dynamically at the runtime. And what that means that if you have a bigger enterprise project, there's so many classes, there's so many interlinkages, the start time of the entire project is always very high. And that has always been a concern at all the companies that I have worked at. And one of the biggest reasons for that is that everything is happening when you're starting the class. You're not reusing anything, and unfortunately, there has been no way to optimize that. Java 24 heard you, and now they have an option. If you go and enable these two flags, if you can go and see on the screen itself, it says there, boss, the first time when we're running the projects, it will try to go and record, capture all the classes, their loading, their linkage, and we'll keep it stored so that next time when you again go and start the entire project, that doesn't have to be redone. All that which was recorded already will be reused so that your start time becomes much more faster. What it means that when you run the project the first time, it might take some time, but when you're running it for the second time, third time, and all the time onwards, the start time will be much more optimized. So a very good performance optimization which we were expecting from the Java makers, and they have made it true as a part of this Java 24 release. Let's talk about the next one. Now, this is another favorite of mine. So far, see what happens, right? Sometimes you have been given a class file, and normally a class file is a bytecode file which might comprise of the givers 0 and 1 and special characters. Now for a human brain or a human mind to go and read it, understand it, what it holds, it's very tough. So whenever in the past you have been exposed a class file and you want to analyze that, we had to rely on certain external libraries who help us to go and find out what all methods it has. Java 24 says that, boss, hold on, you don't have to rely on the external libraries. We get you those APIs internally, natively as a part of Java 24, so that you can go and analyze what is inside a class, what all methods are there, what all fields are there, and it makes your life super easy. So if you have this open JDK in which you have this, the access to the early access builds, they have added few packages, this JDK package, which have these class files called as Classfile and method models, which provide you the APIs to go and understand what all things are there inside a class file. I've just attached a code snippet on your screen right now for your better and quick understanding. So let's assume that you have this class file called as myclass.class. So you first of all go and identify the path of this .class file. Once you have done that, then using the files class, you go and try to read all this content in the form of the bytes, which you go and store in a byte array. Once that is done, using this class file, which is under this JDK package, you go and parse the entire content, right? And once it is done, this class file object will have the different fields to go and express the different attributes of the class. For example, I can go and call the method called as methods on this class file object and then stream over it to get a list of all the method names of that class. So what we understand, JDK 24 has also got you the APIs, got you covered so that you can actually go and understand what's there inside the mystic, right? The encrypted .class files, which is impossible for a normal human eyes to go and apprehend, right? So I'm very fascinated about this feature. One more last feature which has got my eyes among all the other features which Java 24 brings to the table is the support for the stream gatherers. Since Java 8, when the streams were introduced, Java every release has been trying to optimize or provide more features. Now so far we had something called a stream collection, right? Stream collect, which was amazing, but typically it has its own challenges. This new stream gatherers allows us to do so many things which was not possible in the past. Let's try to understand each of that with the help of the example on the screen right now, and then we'll try to write our first code to understand that how this stream gatherers works in this new release of Java. The first advantage of this gatherer, which I can understand, is that it's more expressive than the collectors. What it means that, say for example, my use case is that I want to go and convert this list of the numbers into a small window of size 3. So it should get converted into the 1, 2, 3, then it should get converted into the 4, 5, 6, then it should get converted into the 7, 8, 9. So when you go and do this, when you use a word called as a gather, it's more expressive. It's easy to understand that what we exactly want to do. Secondly, when you go and make use of gatherers, it supports incremental and lazy processing. Unlike the previous collect method, it waited for the entire stream to be done and then finally it's used to go and process the data. Stream gatherers works incrementally, right? It will not wait for the entire streaming process to be completed, right? It works incrementally, and that's why it's more optimized, and it's make more sense to use it for a larger set of the streams. Third one, it works with the stateful operations. So for example, if I have to do the sliding window, it was not possible at all previously, but now with the help of the gather, I can actually go and do that. I can also do the stateful transformation, which was again a nightmare. It was almost not possible to go and do with the previous possibilities that we had with the streams. We also have a support, even if you want to do the parallel processing, the gather works there. And since it does it in a lazy first manner, typically it also helps in reducing a lot of memory uses when you make use of the gather. What I've done, I have kind of collected the comparison between the previous collectors and the gatherers that we have got as a part of JP485 in the Java 24. First use case, if I have a simple collection to the list or the set, it was done previously with the collector. It makes sense to continue doing that. Gatherer can do it, but I think it will be an overkill. I always say that if you have to kill an ant, you don't have to use an elephant, right? You can just use anything simple. Same way for the grouping elements, collectors you can do it, but it's more flexible if you go and make use of the gatherers. Now that's where these things which are not practically possible before is being done by the gatherer. So let's say that if you have to do the incremental processing, you have to do the fixed size windowing, you have to do the sliding window operation, stateful transformation, processing large stream of efficiently, real-time event processing. For all these cases, the gatherers are possible to do, which was not possible with the previous version of the collectors. So now since we have understood so many advantages of gather, let's try to see a hands-on code for it. But I'm telling you, the whole purpose is not to understand what I'm writing inside the gatherers. It might intimidate you. I'm just giving you the warnings ahead. But the whole purpose is to understand that how it works. See, if you have to understand stream in details, you would have a very good understanding of how the stream APIs work in Java 8 and what has changed over the period of time. If you don't understand that, and if you need a help there, please let me know. I can have a separate video to explain that. But the next few minutes, I'm going to write code. You just watch it with the still eyes, ensuring that you understand typically how on a high level the gatherer works. Fair? Let's quickly get started on our Eclipse and try to experiment with it. So I'll go and open my Eclipse. And in this Eclipse, I'll go and try to write a class called as test. So we do a right click. I go and call it as test. It should be test. Perfect. And then inside the test, let me go and call it as public static void main string args. Perfect. And inside it, let me go and define a list of string, and let me go and call it as data equals to list dot of, and then I go and provide something called as apple. I go and call it as banana, cherry, and then we have something called as a date. Now what I do is that let me go and call it as data dot stream, right? And then what I do, I have to go and gather this, right? I want to go and gather that in the list. And for inside this, if you look around, right, if I go and give you the what does it expect, right? So it expects a gatherer here. So I have to go and define a class that implements gatherer. Okay. So I'll just stop it here and let me go and define a class here. Let me go and call it as class, and let me go and call it as list gatherer. Now what I'll do, I'll remove this class file apart and make it record. Now I want you people to come and tell me that, boss, have you heard this word called as record? And if yes, can you guys tell me in which version of Java did that happen? Don't go and search over GPT or Google. Without that, if you know, please comment that, boss, yes, I know that. Else say that, no, I don't. And please go and watch. This is very crucial, right? So I go and define a record list gatherer, and a record can actually go and implement a interface. So I'll go and say that this I go and take as T, and it does not take any parameter for the initialization. And then I go and say then implements, and I go and call it as gatherer. And so I go and pass list, then I go and call it as list T, and then I go and say that list T. Fair. And what I'll have to do is that I'll have to go and import this list. And since I've implemented the gatherer, I have to also go and implement certain methods. So what I'll do is that I'll go and add an implemented method, which is integrator. Fair enough. And now in this case, instead of returning null, I'll go and add the logic. So I go and say the return, and then I go and say that gatherer. Very nice. And then I go and say that integrator, and then I go and say the of greedy. right? This is how I go and write it. And then inside this I go and call a function. I go and call a lambda function which I go and pass list element, and I go and pass as downstream. And inside this I go and say that list dot add, and I go and say that turn true. So this is how I'm going to find the integrator, correct? And now let's try to and go and use it here. So what I'll do here is I'll go to the gather, and then here I go and say that new, and I go and call this at list gatherer, and I can straight to it. Now this I want to go and convert into the list, so I go and say that 2, and I go and call it to list. Now let's go and store that in the form of the list of the string. So let me go and call it as a list, and I have something called as a result. Go and store this in. And let me go and print this out. I have something called as a result. Let's try to run this and see if it works. And I see there is certain error here. What is that error which has come up? Cannot invoke Java list util because list is null. Now why it is happening? Can you guys make a guess? You are seeing this code, you are seeing this. Can you guys pause the video, think, brainstorm, and tell me in the comment that what went wrong? And in the case if you are not able to understand, boss, this was not expected for you people to go and solve. As I told you, this requires your deeper understanding of the stream APIs and how it has evolved over a period of time. I'm not expecting in this video that you will have that masters. But in the case if you are interested in the stream APIs, you want that there has to be a dedicated session where I go in deep dive and understand the entire stream APIs, please let me know. I'll do that for you people. But for now, just understand that how this list gatherer works. It is happening because I have not initialized this list. And if I have not initialized the list, it will obviously go and say throw the null pointer exception will go and throw, right? So for this, I'll have to have a initializer block. So I go and call it as public, and I go and call it as supplier, and I go and call it the list, and I go and call the initializer, right? This is how I'm going to do it. We go and remove this public supplier list t initializer, and inside this, instead of this, I should go and return an empty list. So I go and say that array list, and then it should be new. Perfect. So this is the initialization I have done. Just to ensure that this is the right overridden method, I'll go and annotate it with override. This will ensure that we have overridden the same method. Let me call it as override. Perfect. And same way, we should have a method called as a by consumer. So let me go and call it as finisher. So this is the initializer, and then we have something called as a finisher. So I have something called as a public, and then I have something called as by consumer, in which I go and pass list t, and then I have something called as downstream, and inside this I go and say that question mark super, and then I have list t, and then I go and call it as a finisher, and then I go to the return, and then I have something called as a list downstream, dot push, and then I should go and pass the list. Here there's a typo. It should be downstream. Perfectly fine. And again, I'll go and put this annotation called as override just to ensure that I have not overwritten the wrong method, right? So I go and call it like this. I save it, and after saving, if I go and try to run this again, I see that it started working now. So this is how Sir Gatherer works, and it has made the life pretty much do everything in this newer version of Java 24 release. I'm very fascinated about this Java. I always say that Java was relevant yesterday, it is relevant today, and also in the coming next 5-10 years. I don't see Java going anywhere else. So if you guys are the Java's fan in the house, please put into the chat that How do you love Java? And just to take this ahead, at Amers, I'm starting a very amazing course on Java where I'm actually teaching everything in detail, Spring, microservices, and also how the Spring AI comes into the action. So if you're interested, we are starting a batch very soon and you would like to go and enroll about it. The details about the batch will be pinned in the description itself. So with this, we have come to the end of this video. We saw that what amazing things Java 24 has brought to the table. Right now, you don't have to write those public static void main. You don't have a two-step process where you go and compile first and then go and run it. Now it's still experimental, it's still not finalized, but that's where how I see the Java going to evolve in coming years. More developer friendly, more easy to write, and less code. Let me know that. Are you excited about Java 24? What have you to say about the Java now? Please put that into the comments. And if you like the content, make sure that you're tagging me over all social media handles, sharing it with the people, because boss, this is what that excites me to bring more content. I'm trying to bring some amazing content coming days on this channel. I'll be teaching around Spring AI. If you feel that will help you, please let me know in comments. Thank you.